Hello, dear listener. My name is Amand, and today we will be reading another piece of Ukrainian fan fiction based on the characters from Stalker, which is originally a novel by, I don't remember whomst, but it's become popular upon the release of Stalker the game, which was made by Ukrainians, slightly appropriated by Russia, and then we reclaimed it back with the latest release of Stalker, Heart of Chernobyl. Apologize, Stalker Phantom, I don't remember the exact name of the latest piece, but this is not the point of this video. So, we will be reading Amidst the Shadows by RZHK or Kamiana Róża. So, summary. And if I walk the valley of death, I won't fear the evil, for you are with me, your weapon, your care, your caress, and your blessing. Notes. Oh my fucking god, the tags don't want to go in proper order. Not better read, my reread to remove typos later, English is not my first language, blah blah blah. Dedicated to my bestie who had to deal with my cockroaches when I was unable to finish this, all those who had to endure my accent when I read them this fic aloud in Discord, and all my fellow dochodziagi shippers. Zlanu do stolu, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Zlanu do stolu. Before we begin, I have to warn you, whoever you are reading this, everything you know about me is a lie. Everything you heard around campfires, anecdotes, or serious tale, everything is a lie, one way or another. I am a liar myself, you know. I have long lost myself in my own lies, no longer know what's the truth and what's a figment of my sick imagination. You must be shocked. I understand. To hear the righteous colonel, Dektirov himself, say that he's a measly lying prick must be unbelievable. Maybe you can't comprehend it, can't understand me, can't understand why a man like me, such an honorable and sincere man, stalkers, told stories about after a bottle of piss-like beer, would ever need to lie, not to mention actually do it. Well, walk from swamps to Pripyat and back in my combat boots and maybe you'll get it. If you don't, do it again. I did it twice myself anyway. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get into what else I've got to tell you. You, whoever is currently listening to this. So, being right. Being right gives you the kind of confidence nothing else does. It's genuinely addictive. There's a certain thrill to it when you know that you are right, you're in the right, and the one who is not, more often than not an opponent of yours too, is moments away from getting hit by the devastating realization that they are wrong. And you watch them, like a falcon, observe attentively as shivers wreck your body, your knee, hamstrings jolt with excitement, you stare as their expression morphs into horror and despair of being proven wrong. Or it doesn't, and they stay stone cold, even eyes not betraying the emotions they must feel. That unpredictability is also exciting. When you are certain that you are right, when you are supported by factual evidence, you can't help but wonder about what the reaction of the one in the wrong would be. You don't have to wonder for long, as it's usually the same. Most often, it's despair or rage. Very few actually accept defeat and the fact of not being right with grace. Most who do seem to accept actually pretend, likely already planning on how to exact vengeance upon you. No, wait, scratch that. All reactions to being proven wrong can be narrowed down to just two: acceptance and despair, brought by inability to accept. Rage, desire for vengeance, self-hatred or hatred toward you, self-pity, all are brought out by the sad truth of being wrong and desperate because of that. But sometimes you're desperate precisely because you're right. Trust me. Really, trust me, because I know. Because that's exactly how I feel right now. That's how I feel. Staring at the wooden cross in front of me. Well, no wooden cross, but something wooden, definitely. At the needless surrounding it, at the ground level, at the everything. It has been such a long while since we were civil with each other. Him and I. We were at each other's throats for months before that final fight. And over what? Over that fucking brain-sick priest? Who might have been microdosing us with psi all the time? Well, definitely dosed me. Oh, how I fucking regret that I wasn't the one to put a bullet between those wide fucking eyes. I fucking hate that I was right about him. I despise it. I despise that I was unable to convince him that he was dangerous. Faust had him wrapped around his dirty fingers, and I haven't lifted mine to do something about it until it was too late. It's heavy. The realization that all of this is my fault and my fault alone. I could have prevented everything. If only I had more evidence, if only I was slightly more patient. This realization climbed onto my back, sat down at my neck, and is not kicking its fucking legs, shattering my bones and bringing me down. I think this is how Atlas feels when holding the sky. When my knees buckle and bring me to the ground, I don't fight it. I fold, bend to the will of something that is simply higher than me. I remember it now. The last time we interacted without trying to hurt each other as much as possible. I feel shame now, but back then I have said things that should have never been put to words, and there's nothing I can do about it anymore. Was it? Yeah, it was after that fiasco of an initiation. Next chapter. The room is small, 7 steps from the door to the fireplace, from north to south, short of 5 from the inner wall to the outer, from east to west. I know well, because measuring the room with my steps, working my own traces, counting them time and time again is all I can do. Inability to do anything else is gnawing at my sanity, pulling off piece after piece. Pulling because it doesn't even need to bite, so shaky the sanity in question already is. I'm pissed at you, I mutter without much thought. There was so little thought in these words of mine that I registered saying them only after the response came. Or rather when I heard the barely stifled noise of pain that came before it, something between a grunt, a ragged breath, a whimper, and a tired sigh. Tired, exhausted for sure. The man to my left was anything but relieved. I am aware. He drags out slowly, softly. It takes a lot. It takes too much strength for him to say those measly words. The artifact keeps pulsing with soft, periwinkle light on his chest. It is held there by his left hand and seems useless. You said this at least 3 dozen times in the last hour. His tone slightly questioned at the end. I stop. The leather boots, shin-high and dark grey, that have been carrying me from one corner of the room to the other for the past hour and a half, still. Tie like soles dig into the dirty carpet under me. I stop to take a look at him, longer and more attentive than before. The cold, wear rag had almost crawled from off his forehead to onto his eyes. There was barely any light in the room. The fire in the fireplace already subdued to weeping embers for the lack of fuel. The long window was covered by a metal sheet. Even the gas lamp on the desk was dimmed down. And the glow. The deceptively secure and comforting fucking periwinkle glow of the liquid stone on his chest. Still, he would constantly squint his eyes to try and evade that God-forsaken light. He looks weak. His skin is pale. Slightly waxy, maybe because of the weak yellow light from the lamp, but it looks fake, out of place, molded from old plasticine. Suddenly, I can remember the disgustingly greasy feel and sheen of it, the smell, the look. And why hide the truth, the taste and the feel of it on the teeth? I can remember it. I can imagine that it would taste and feel the same if I were to bite his cheek right now. But for the life of me, I can't remember from when or why or where. From do I know how plasticine, tastes and feels like. They took off his shoes, vest, and jacket before I got here. His boots, heeled with small crampons that clank softly when he walks, are standing beside the cot they, and by they I mean his subordinates, brought into here from somewhere. I don't know, and don't care. He's comfortable as it can be, and that's all that matters to me. The jacket is nowhere to be seen. Taking into account the bandages across his arms, visible because he's in just a t-shirt stained with fresh blood, the jacket won't be seen ever again. Obolero will fix it up so well it won't even look like it was torn apart in the first place. To think that a human is able to do such things. Although, why am I even surprised? Under the influence of the monolith, we've done things far more terrible than jumping on your commanding officer and trying to tear his flesh with your bare hands. I sigh and look away. I want to keep looking, to stare, to take into account every tiny detail, to engrave it in my memory, but it's too hard. It's almost... not almost, it is actually physically painful. Like a knife thrust into you just under the sternum. I can't stand the sight of him, reduced to a sack of lead-heavy bones and his obedient muscles contorting and twitching in mild fever. Actually, maybe it's not so mild anymore. I come up to him slowly, in smaller steps to not startle him. His brown eyes, red from involuntarily crying and effects of sigh, flick up to me before rolling back and tightly squinting in pain. Oh, Zone, what that thing even did to you. My knees creak, mad that I had been up and on my feet for the last 16 hours, I think. But I kneel on the old reddish carpet beside the cot. Carefully, I cup his face, caress his unshaven cheek with my thumb. His eyes pry open slowly and he locks gazes with me again. He looks more lucid than earlier, but his chestnut irises are tainted with delirium, exhaustion and pain. Disgust and slight hint of misery join them when he notices concern and the slightest hint of pity in my eyes. He tries to turn away, but moving his neck makes him squint his eyes and grunt in pain again. I pull off the now warm, moist rag, flicking some of his hair off his forehead. I dip my head down and press a kiss. Just as I thought, the fever was far from mild. I get up and walk to one of the desks. There's a metal bowl with cold water, courtesy of Bone Setter. Bubble, the artifact, lays at the bottom and emits the unobtrusive green glow. Macabre, but at least there's no radiation. The water is safe to use in any way one pleases. Dipped in the rag, moved it around, squeezed out the excess water. On my way back to the court, I grab a glass of water and the half-emptied pill palette. The red pills with ibuprofen look like drops of blood. I don't like the resemblance. The rag lays on the court's iron top rail as I carefully help him up high enough so he doesn't choke when drinking. Here, I give him the ibuprofen pill and raise the glass to his dry lips. Drink. Sasha drinks like a man dying of thirst. To be fair, he looks like one. Although he is more likely to die from his migraine rather than thirst, I know this expression of his, that kind of headache feels worse than a head shot. At least you feel the head shot briefly or not at all. I think so. There. Don't rush. I ease him back down and place the now cold rag back on his forehead. He looks at me with what I can confidently assume gratitude, and the corner of his lips twitches in a weak attempt of a smile. He swallows what must be a monolith-sized lump in his throat before attempting to speak again. Don't go. He bleeds and twitches slightly, I assume again disgusted his own vulnerability. We're still working on that and making him comfortable with being himself and being a normal human being. Funny how the tables have turned. I'm here. I sit down at the edge of the court, trying to not move his legs, to not touch them at all. I'm half successful because Daggy moves them himself. Thomas. The muscle aches get worse if he moves. Anyway, as I sit down, I reach for his hand, grab her, give it a little squeeze. His fingers are calloused and smell of weapon oil. His palm is covered in not-so-white cloth. A line of red from southwest to northeast let him know there's a cut, a deep one, bleeding again. I, once again, assume that in the hectic chaos of the incident, he lost grip around his knife and accidentally drove it into his thumb muscle. Must have hurt like a bitch. I'm not going anywhere, I say as I lean down to kiss his knuckles. They're bruised, beaten. The scratches feel rough like sandpaper. I need to get him a new pair of gloves for our anniversary. These fingerless are doing nothing to protect his hands now. They're too worn. You really are pissed at me, Sasha states. But the phrase feels like it should be a question. I respond as if it is one. No. I sum at his knuckles. Mildly irritated, but not pissed. Liar. He accuses me, and we both chuckle dryly. Okay, I pause, trying to find words to what I'm feeling. Words that are not swear words. I'm concerned, worried, and confused. Why? Why do you keep doing that? Sasha coughs before responding. Really shouldn't talk with how bad her state is, but we need to talk. It's a bone-deep, unconscious need. Is that what these grammars feel just before they get on benches near porches for the old panel houses everyone lives in to gossip with their fellow women of pension age? The closest zone adjacent analogy would be the technician, barman, and merchant, either all three or in various duos, getting together after Commandant hours for a beer and talking shit about their fellow stalker, faction or not, brethren. Or us, me and Daggy. And we will talk because he's stubborn as a mule, even when this exhausted and basically delirious. He won't rest unless we talk. For some reason, our most constructive conversations happen when at least one of us is wounded and only half lucid. Also, we finally confessed when he was bleeding out because of bullets he caught in his shoulder and shin, and I had a concussion and was seeing 2 sashes instead of 1. I have to. If I don't... He coughs again. I don't like this cough. Is he having an actual cold? In addition to the after effects of getting hit with what can only be described as a tidal wave of psi radiation? For zone's sake, if I don't, she'll kill them. She must be familiarized with each one. She, her. Right. Listen. That thing in the deep below in the Pripyat. I don't know what it is exactly, but it is there. I felt its presence back in the 2012 too. Though I didn't realize it back then, didn't understand who was always watching me and trying to possess my dreams. Is there really no other way? I ask, despite already knowing the answer. I know it because we have been arguing about this for ages. I keep on trying to get Sasha to carry the initiation for Corps soldiers differently. I beg him to stop putting himself in danger, and he just keeps doing exactly that. At this point it almost feels deliberate, to piss me off and get my attention. The key word is feels. No. No. His voice is suddenly firm, unrelenting. There's no convincing him, not even after she almost killed him with the hands of one of the recruits. No. And you know this. Alright. I sigh and give it up. For now. The topic can rest for the time that he spends resting. We can always argue later. We do. He frowned, not believing me. I explained myself. I'm just worried, okay? He hums something incoherent, then squints his eyes with the pained sound again, and so I change the topic. How do you feel, I ask, squeezing his hand again. The moment of lucidity and determination was as brief as it was sudden. Deggy winced again, the way he did when another painful spasm went through his muscles or when the migraine got to bed. This time, it's both, simultaneously. Like a chimera just danced hopak on top of me. Sasha mutters, hiding his face in his elbow now. I'm still holding his other hand. Ouch. He's embarrassed. Embarrassed that someone can see him in this state, and this embarrassment intensifies because it's me. Sasha doesn't want me to think that he's weak, that he can't protect me. And I want to pull him close to assure that it doesn't fucking matter. To hug him, to squeeze him close to myself, to make sure that he's still alive. It's hard to choke this one down, but I do. Moving him in any way will hurt him, and I don't want that. Anything but him getting hurt, because of me more so. I look him in the eyes again. His gaze is tired. The pulp's capillary are scattered all over the sclera. His irises are wide because he's high on painkillers, side protectors, and whatever was in that flask that bone setter poured down his throat when he was still unconscious. The veins around his eyes are more visible, green and ugly. It's hard to stop myself from kissing them away, but I do. There are dark circles under his eyes. He didn't sleep well again. Did he sleep at all? For the last couple of weeks. The quality of his sleep deteriorates basically if her mood deteriorates. Yeah, her. Lisa. That creature, or whatever it is, in some dark basement in Pripyat, she decides how everyone in Pripyat feels. She decides who joins core. It's her who calls the shots on whatever is happening in the city. Funny. Why is it all her? Pripyat, zone, ships, cars, even weapons, they all are her and she. She that, she this. Maybe it's because everything begins with women and ends with them. Death is female adjacent too, and so is my lynx. I remember someone advising us young soldiers to give our rifles a female name because it will be the only in any way woman-like thing we'll see in a while. I don't remember who said that, or if it wasn't from some cheesy movie I sneak out to see. It's quite similar to that. I heard, sailors did. No woman was allowed on the ship, but the ship was always her. Maybe they didn't let other women on board so the ship wouldn't get jealous. Maybe Lesia got jealous. It's so stupid to think that a creature as weird as her can get jealous. But is there really anything else I can do? Do I really have to beg for you to come and hug me? Sasha's voice, still just as hoarse and on the knife edge between absolute delirium and scrabbles of lucidity, the beautifully sounding voice all but yanks me out of my thoughts. My eyes snap to focus so I can glance at him. Wouldn't that hurt? He moved surprisingly quickly for someone who looked to be on his deathbed. Sasha sat up, grabbing my shoulders and hauling, or at least trying to haul me onto the court. I don't fight against this weak man-handling of his, just kick off my shoes with an amused snort and give in. Sasha looks pleased with himself as he rolls onto his side, facing the wall. I can assume that he's in pain again, but the sly fucker is hiding it. He tries to pull my arms around himself, but I pull up the blankets first. He was laying without them before. Sasha's left cheek is touching the cold, peachy pink wall. My body heat is enveloping him from behind, and the shaggy blanket is good enough to keep his temperature at bay. It's breezy enough so that the excess warmth escapes his body, but thick enough so that it's not too cold. The woolen, worn soldier or tourist one stays lower than knees, but one corner of it is in a reachable distance so that I can pull it up in any moment. Of course, Sasha sticks his feet from under the fabric. The artifact got pushed under the pillow. After I'm done with the blankets, I finally lock my arms around his waist and shoulder. I nuzzle into the buzzed-down hair on the back of his neck, press a sneaky kiss there. Sasha snickers at that. Oh, Zone, he smells good. Sure, there was that distinct metallic smell of blood, slight stink of sweat, sharp stench of medicinal salves, or whatever even was used to patch him up. But under all of that, there's something that's distinctly him. There are traces of Mria cigarettes, the red classic ones. He always smokes these. There's the pungent, powerful smell of weapon oil and polish. Sasha cares about his weapons, cares about Sotnik, keeps him clean and ready for combat. Sasha is always so delicate, so attentive with this particular rifle. And then, barely there but present anyway, then there it is. The hearty, steppe smell of warm wood, the balmy notes of white rose hips, and the burnt warmth of tar. I think it's his soap, yeah. There's a hint of Hospodarsky 72% soap too, from all the times that he had to use it to wash the irradiated particles of his body. The rest is just how he naturally smells. I can recall a guy from Freedom, they even called him Terrier, mentioning something about every human having a distinct smell, and how you will like the smell of the person you love, and hate the smell of someone from your nuclear family. They'd actually stink for you as a means of preventing incest. I think we both were high out of our minds. I nuzzle into the spot where his shoulder ends and his neck begins. They're both bruised, purple all over. There's a slight hematoma at the back of his head, from the fall, assumedly. Unconsciously I squeeze him tighter. I thought I lost you for good this time, I mutter, trying to stay calm. Breathe in, breathe out, count to 90. I don't loosen my hold around him, but I make it gentler. Sasha stays silent for a moment. I feel him open his mouth a few times. My temple is on his jaw. But he ends up biting his lip and not saying anything. Instead, I feel him take a handful of my palm, squeeze it tightly. There isn't much he can say. Actually, there isn't anything he can say. There's no excuse, and he's too prideful to apologize. That's just how he is, on his factory settings. That's how his mind works on the most primitive, basic level when he's barely conscious. Sasha's hand finds my other one, and he curls his fingers around mine. Can you tell Nor to feed Fiona for me? He asks eventually, voice raspy and hoarse, slightly choked. He speaks with noticeable breaks between words. He's exhausted, barely awake. I won't be able to for a while, and she knows him best. I rise up a little and stare at him. Sure, Sasha is a proud prick, but to respond with something like this? He's unapologetic, so not sorry about making me worry. At least he's sorry about the incident happening the day of our date, and the fact that he isn't able to walk it off. I know for a fact, if the psi head was slightly weaker, hadn't left him bedridden and sick, he wouldn't have even mentioned it. He always hides his injuries from me. And I want to confront him about it. Oh, Zone, how I want to. The words, "You did not just tell me to tell a guy to feed your mutant cat," twist around the tip of my tongue, but I bite them back. There's no use fighting him on it. That's his way of showing that he can't really comprehend the fact that I actually care. At least, not in this headspace. Normally, he struggles with this way less. He's so dumb. It's memorable. I sigh in resignation and lean in, pressing a kiss to his temple, and then moving our hands so I can kiss the dry, beaten skin of his knuckles too. Consider her fat and poor and purring, I whisper, fixing the blanket that rolled off laying back down completely and hugging him closer. He turns something incoherent and squeezes my hands weakly. Love you, Sasha stammers, when he has thin string connecting him to consciousness. His muscles are relaxed, shoulders lowered, and unguarded for once. He's not too different from a ragdoll at this point. I kiss his shoulder again, squeeze him as close to myself as I can. Love you too. Now sleep. You have to get some rest. He chuckles softly, but kept smiling. I think I'm smiling too. Why hide the truth? It's been a while since we had a blissful moment to ourselves such as this one. In a while, his breathing slowed down and his body went completely limp. The zone really is a cruel woman. No, cruel is not the word, not the first one that comes to mind at least. Independent. She doesn't need you. You need her. She'll take everything from you. Your money, your peace, your good morals, your life, your sanity. She toys with us, with all of us, naive, dumb men who prove to be simply unable to comprehend her true nature completely. She likes those with vivid imaginations. She lives them alive to tell the tale. And don't you dare take more than she's willing to spare, or no sphere forbid, try to bend her to your will. The zone is especially cruel to the arrogant, confident fuckers that think that they can control her. Duty are still paying their debts to her, and Ward will be next. SIR, CIA, and Malachite scientists are walking the knife edge. She likes Sakharov, Herman, likes Lodechka, but more and more experiments by Darlin and Ozeski have been disastrous. The zone blesses those who respect her. Back when freedomers were attacked by mercs, they thought they anger her, began tying little talismans, sacrificing stuff in her name, and she sent them Scar. Also a merc, sure, but I think she was furious they had to think that she's punishing them. She's merciful to us, ex-monolithians, few Daito anomalies and beasts. But she likes loners the most, and those whose roots are in these places. She really, really likes Daggy. Despite the shoulder straps, the epaulets, the ranks, he's a true loner at heart. Noble, caring, will help out if he can, but keeps his distance. For the most part, he's still an agent. An agent of the zone, maybe. The zone is a goddess, a deity, an entity that you have no choice not to worship. In such case, Lesya is akin to a demigod. And if the zone is a woman, which she is, Lesya is, if not her daughter, then definitely her sister. The one that will take all jewelry out before a fight, but won't be over pulling hair or using rusty rubber, preferably still with some concrete stuck to it. Lesya will chew you and spit you out, then stomp you with her heel. She is much crueler than the zone, much more demanding. She consumes. She traps dreams, traps core soldiers during their dreams and beckons them to herself, tempts with visions of immense riches, power, immortality, deceased loved ones, all just to munch down on them. She is not unlike the wish granter, yet not made of metal and wire. Lesya was just a code name once, something to describe that eldritch shit they found underground. To write down in frantic reports, some way to name the threat, because if you name and recognize the problem, you are halfway to solving it. Lesya is not different from a god now. Loners, freedomers, stalkers in general pray to the zone. Core soldiers pray to Lesya. Pray that she spares them, pray that she tolerates them, pray that she doesn't hate or, no sphere forbid, like them. Pray to not become her next prey. Today, I pray too. So, he really is dead, huh? The cross in front of me was simple. The fact That it was made hastily was evident by it being two sticks held together by rusty wire, isolation tape, and the power of sheer will. Red and orange needles covered up the spot where it was stuck into the ground. It was just an ordinary grave cross for a dead stalker, nothing too special about it. Maybe the fact that it was made by hand and improvised instead of pulled off some other grave, the pre-disaster ones, made it a little special, unusual, a statistic anomaly. Maybe. Or maybe it was the lack of a gas mask or any other soccer gear. Maybe it was the bullet casing on a chain hanging on the cross. The horizontal stick replaced his shoulders. The vertical was there instead of his neck. And the metal of the casing is cold. I can feel it even through the gloves. Those ones he gave me. Yeah. There was no rust or dirt on the chains or the casing. I'm not amazed by the fact, just by it being unexpected. Alas, just another zone miracle. The chain rattles slightly when I let the bullet case slip out of my grip. The metal hits the wood with a soft sound. I reach into my jacket. The grinned Maria pack I pull out is still sealed. So I grab the golden strip with my teeth and pull it, taking the film off smoothly as I crunches in protest. I swap one cigarette for a joint. He smoked. When he did smoked, either mint Maria or, well, weed. I put the box down into the needles at the base of the cross and light up the cigarette I pulled out of the pack. It hit quickly, but not as hard as it would have if I wasn't going through half a pack a day already. It was refreshing. The cold enveloped my mouth and throat, made everything just slightly sharper and more bearable. I am tempted to put it out on my skin. The burn would feel good. Concentrate in one spot, send adrenaline through my veins. I don't do it. He wouldn't have liked that. Instead, I stuff it out on the reinforced part of my vest, hide the useless butt into one of my numerous pockets. Breathe in, breathe out. The air of the red forest is thick. It smells of rotten pine, but it's fresh. The mint cigarette is not at fault at all. That's just how it is. Red forest smells like death. Death smells like fire, rot, pine, rust, and him. Kiss my fingers and then press them to the left side of the cross. He liked when I kissed him there. Just over the tattoo. The one of the wing. The monolith wing. It wasn't really a tattoo, it was a brand, a mark of ownership, etched into his body forever. It took a while to assure him that it no longer defines him. I look at the cross again. I stare at it, try to engrave it in my memory. So when psi illusions come, I won't be tempted by the visions. I will remember that he is no more. Dead, deceased, not with us anymore, in a better world, or any other fucking way to put it. I get up from my knees. They creak in protest at the fact that I have been up and on my feet for 4/6 of the day, and turn around. I have to leave it behind, leave him behind. If I don't, at least temporarily, it will be us who will be left behind, who will be no more than footnotes or pencil annotations at the page margins of the annals of history. I can feel it. The silent agreement with what I am about to do, the approval, the blessing. It's her. She is watching me with a keen eye. We might be her last hope after all. She will aid us in our case. She knows we won't let them chain and collar her. But her approving gaze is not the only one that makes the hair on the back stand up. I can feel it. If it's not Psy, and I hadn't finally lost my mind, then I feel it. The disturbances in the noosphere, the irregularity in waves, The informational signature. It's so familiar, I can feel my whole nervous system jolt in response. It does not feel mad, or like it disapproves of what I'm going to do. So, I think I can assume that he concedes with my plan too. Good. I feel a little lighter, more sure, more certain. I don't know if we'll succeed, but I know for a fact these watchful gazes, hers and his, will not leave me for a moment. His barren suit shuffles as he half turns to me, but he stays still, just watches me walk away, as he watched me all this time. Varren suits him so much better than whatever the fuck he was wearing before. Come on, Skiff. We have people to kill. The end. Let's smoke a cigarette of remembrance. The wind is from north to south and slightly towards the west. Kudos for this beautiful piece by Kamiana Róża. And if I walk the valley of death, I won't fear the evil, for you are with me, your weapon, your care, your caress, and your blessing. Thank you for listening, and have an amazing day.